So Biden has put together a commission to look at packing the Supreme Court. So let's talk about this. But real quick, before we jump into this video, I want to thank a couple of the main sponsors of the channel. The first being USCCA. USCCA provides you self-defense liability protection as well as education and training through your membership. So if you conceal carry a firearm, I highly recommend that you look into companies like USCCA. That's the company I recommend. And if you're interested, I'll put a link to them down in the details section. I also want to thank Blackout Coffee for supporting the channel. Blackout Coffee provides the best Second Amendment coffee in the market. So if you're interested in looking at that, if you want to have a cup of freedom every single morning, I highly recommend them, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. And if you use the code ARMSCHOLAR, you'll get 10% off of your order. So Biden has put together a commission to look at the issue of expanding the Supreme Court, also known as court packing. And Biden has put together this commission to look at this issue and provide, after 180 days, an analysis on the issue of expanding the Supreme Court. And the commission is made up of 36 individuals and is allegedly supposed to be bipartisan, but it is nowhere near bipartisan. Of course, it is leaning very left. There are some, I guess, center-right individuals also on the commission, but it is much more heavily left-leaning. And the issues that these 36 individuals and this commission are supposed to look at include examining the history of the court, past changes to the process of nominating justices, and the potential consequences to altering the size of the Supreme Court. So those are the questions that they're supposed to be looking at when they put together this study for the president. Now, this issue of packing the Supreme Court is far from a new concept. I've done videos on the past on this channel where I talk about court packing, some of the history, and if you're interested, you can click this link right there. But this is an issue that has popped up quite frequently in our history and pops up every once in a while, and recently popped up when Biden was running for the presidency. Some people were asking him if he would be willing to pack the Supreme Court. He was very elusive in answering some of those questions and said, well, you'll find out when I become president. Now he's putting together this commission to look at whether or not, I guess, he has some sort of authority, some history behind trying to pack the Supreme Court. Now, some of the recent discussion that's popped up since Biden has put together this commission to look at packing the Supreme Court is whether or not he actually wants this to succeed, if he actually wants to do this, or if he's just trying to appease those individuals on the left who first asked him to actually try to pack the Supreme Court. Now, this all has kind of arisen out of the recent nominations by Donald Trump in putting in a very significant amount of justices to the Supreme Court, which was quite unusual for a single presidency. Trump was able to nominate individuals like Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, as well as Amy Coney Barrett at the very end of his presidency. And a lot of you are very familiar with what happened with the Kavanaugh issue. That was much more personal. And then when Amy Coney Barrett was nominated at the end of Trump's presidency, there was a lot of discussion about, well, they shouldn't be able to do this. Trump shouldn't be able to do this because they are now going to drastically shift the lean of the court towards conservative ideologies. Now, that necessarily hasn't played out the way we've all thought. We're still waiting to see, I guess, how the makeup of the Supreme Court really is going to be. Especially us on the Second Amendment side, we were very hopeful that this new conservative lean would be very aggressive on issues like the Second Amendment. But as of right now, we just haven't seen that. That's not to say that the Supreme Court won't take up some of these Second Amendment issues and rule in a very conservative way, in a very constitutional way. It's not to say that, but we just haven't seen that as of right now. And because of this drastic shift in the makeup of the Supreme Court, a lot of individuals on the left have now asked to bring up this issue once again of packing the Supreme Court, and also this issue of maybe doing term limits for Supreme Court justices. As of right now, justices get to serve a life term. They have a life tenure. Unless they pass away or retire, Supreme Court justices don't have a term limit on how they serve in the Supreme Court. Now people on the left are saying, well, we need term limits for some of these justices. Now, again, there wasn't a whole lot of clamoring when you had other individuals on the Supreme Court like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And when we're talking about individuals like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, even she was not in favor of packing the Supreme Court. In fact, she was very adamant in saying that she actually thought the 9 justices were where the court should be. And actually, I'll read a quote from you when asked about packing the Supreme Court and if we need to add more justices to the Supreme Court. She said, 9 seems to be a good number. It's been that way for a long time. I think it was a bad idea when President Franklin Roosevelt tried to pack the court. So right there you have quotes by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was replaced by Amy Coney Barrett, saying that she thought 9 justices was sufficient. It's been like that for a long time. And she didn't agree with FDR trying to pack the Supreme Court. In fact, Justice Ginsburg talked about the issue that we kind of find ourselves in right now. In fact, what she said is, if anything, it would make the court look partisan. It would be that one side saying, when we are in power, we're going to enlarge the number of judges so we would have more people who would vote the way we want them to. So even there, Justice Ginsburg said It's like a situation we're finding ourselves in right now with Biden having this commission talking about wanting to enlarge the number of justices on the Supreme Court. She would say, if anything, that would expressly show that the Supreme Court is trying to be made partisan. Now, how this would impact the Second Amendment and why this is concerning on a Second Amendment basis is because for quite a while we've been waiting for a conservative constitutional-based Supreme Court and for them to take up a Second Amendment issue. We haven't had anything since Heller and McDonald. So we are waiting. There are a lot of cases that are keyed up, and we're anticipating maybe the Supreme Court will take those up. Well, now you have the left and Biden saying, well, what we're going to try to do is just put more justices on the Supreme Court, shut down those Second Amendment issues and a whole lot of other issues that get before the Supreme Court. And this is simply being done because they don't like the current makeup of the court as it sits right now. There was no issue when it was a left-leaning court and when the conservatives were outnumbered by the left and everything was going along the left party lines. But now all of a sudden, when there are more conservative justices on the Supreme Court, now all of a sudden there is a need to add more justices. It's not fair. There needs to be term limits, things like that. This could also affect the Second Amendment on the basis of we've recently had Biden come out, call for a renewed push on gun control and various infringements on our Second Amendment rights. He has recently pushed for things like regulations of 80% lowers or so-called ghost guns, as well as pistol braces and trying to classify certain AR, AK pistols with pistol braces as SBRs under the NFA. He's also called for Congress to pass H.R. 8, H.R. 1446, which deal with so-called universal background checks. And he's also called for Congress to pass things like assault weapons bans as well as magazine bans. All of these issues, if things were to start to play as far as gun control, a lot of these things are going to be litigated and hopefully make their way up to the Supreme Court. Well, how do you ensure that a Supreme Court right now that's leaning more conservative is going to rule in favor of these Second Amendment violations that you're putting in place? And the way you do that is by adding more justices into the Supreme Court, putting term limits, things like that, so that you now have justices in the final kind of protected branch voting in your favor as well. So it's definitely something concerning. We don't really know how right now this is going to play out. The report by the commission is supposed to come out after 180 days, and then we'll see what the discussion is through that commission's report, as well as what Biden does after that. But this could be a ploy to start the process of trying to pack the Supreme Court, or it could be simply a way for Biden to try to appease the left as of right now, saying, well, I'm putting together a commission to pack the Supreme Court. I'm doing what you asked me to do. And maybe he is hoping that this will die in the commission or that people will just forget about it. So we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on this. And if there's any other updates on this, I will definitely let you guys know, because something like adding justices to the Supreme Court and packing the Supreme Court is definitely something of concern, and we should be keeping our eyes on. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell, because that helps the channel analytics, helps us spread the word about the Second Amendment, also spread the word about things like this that are going on in our nation to affect our Second Amendment rights. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.